Hello and welcome to day one of the 12 days of crochet, subtitled the 12 days of Bugsmas. So let's just get straight into it, shall we? Today is day one and the clue was that this bug is also known as a bird and a cow. Shall we open it up and see what's inside? It is a 6-spotted ladybug. So yeah, apparently ladybugs are also known as ladybirds, which I already knew, but lady cows as well. And I also saw lady clocks, but I did not want to include that in the clue because I couldn't verify it anywhere else. So this is our day one pattern. Let's get into it. Don't forget to watch the end of the video to get a clue for who we're making on day two. Okay, let's talk about tools and materials. So for day one, you're going to need 8-ply 100% acrylic in 3 colors. You're going to need a dark grey or a black. I personally found that grey shows up a little nicer on camera, so that's what I'll be using today. A red, and I'm going to be using this soft berry pink for mine today. And a small amount of white. You're also going to need a pair of 9mm safety eyes and some stuffing. In terms of tools, you're going to need a 3.5mm hook, scissors, a couple of stitch markers. I'm going to be using bobby pins for that. And while there is no sewing in today's project, if you want to add the line down the middle of the shell, I do suggest having a needle handy. But that's it. Our little lady, you can watch from up there. So to make our little ladybug, we're going to start at the tip of the nose and just work our way back, creating little legs as we go. So let's grab our black and start by making a magic ring of 6. And I thought the little ladybird might be the perfect way to start our 12 days of Crochetmas, just because I do think she is one of the easiest ones. So she'll get things started nice and slowly. Then for row 2, I suggest having your stitch markers. Now, we're using these just to help us find where our eyes are supposed to go, but if you don't have any around, they're not serving any structural function. So row 2 starts with a single crochet. And then we have an increase, and I do work in visible increases, meaning the first stitch works through the front loop only, and the second stitch works through both loops. There's our increase, and I want you to take one of your stitch markers and I want you to mark the second stitch of that increase. Just like that. And then 2 single crochet, so 1 and 2, and now we're going to work another increase. Once again, I'm going to stop, grab a stitch marker and mark the second stitch of that increase. And then it's just 1 single crochet back to the start of our round. So that is what it currently looks like. Row 3 is then just 8 single crochet around. 2, 3, 7, and 8. And at this point, we are going to put our safety eyes in. So all of the minis this year have very tiny, tiny little heads. So where we are using safety eyes, it can be a little tricky to get the backs on, which is why we have to do it this early in the process, which is why I've used stitch markers to help us out today. So what I want you to do is we've got our stitch marker here and we insert our safety eyes where our stitch marker is, but you'll see how there's kind of like 2 sides to where our stitch marker is located. We want it on the side facing the magic ring. So I'm just going to take my safety eye and insert it right where that stitch marker is on the inside, next to the magic ring, and then turn it around and do the same thing on the other one. So we've got our stitch marker, our magic ring, and this is going to go in right there. So that's where my little eyeballs are going to go. Stitch markers can now come out. That's it. That's all they were doing. And you won't need those for the rest of the project. And I'm going to just pop this head in inside out, and I'm going to snap the backs of my eyes on. Oh, a good clicky sound. I think that's the first time ever I've gotten a good clicky sound from these particular eyes. Ha! Okay, and then we'll just pop the head back in the right way. And it is extremely squishy squashy in there, but mine do fit. And we're going to move on into row 4. Row 4 is 8 front post single crochet around. So let's talk about front post for a second here. When we crochet, we normally insert our hook through the loops at the top of the stitch. But when we do post stitching, we insert our hook around the post of the stitch, like this. Now there are front post stitches and back post stitches. For this particular project, we're using front post only, which means we insert our hook from the front of the work, around the post, back to the front of the work, and then we work our single crochet as per usual. Now, it can sometimes be a little tricky to tell where that first front post should go, and this has a massive impact on how much the rest of your work is going to drift over time. What I want you to do is find the next set of loops you would normally work into, which for me is this set here, because we can see that this previous set has already been worked into at the end of the last row. And then I want you to follow that set of loops down to the post below them, which is here. And the reason I'm making a point about that is because otherwise you might think this is the post we should be working around first, when actually it's this one here. But yeah, that is our first front post, and I'm going to work a front post single crochet around it, and then 7 more around the head for 8 in total. And yes, it does get a little squashy around the eyes just because those backs are already on, but it's way harder to pop the backs on after we've done this row. I understand that different safety eyes fit in different ways. So if you physically cannot do front post single crochet on the sides closest to the eyeballs, I just want you to work a regular single crochet there. It's not going to be super obvious directly behind the eyes like that, as long as you're using front post for the rest of the row. So there we go. That is what our little ladybird head currently looks like. So for row 5, we're going to go back to working through the loops. And I want you to stop and count at this point and make sure you can identify 8 stitches to work into around the opening of your ladybird. And yes, this weird little squishy squashy stitch between the start and the end of the front post rows does count as a stitch. So for row 5, we're going to work 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. And then we're going to work an increase, changing to our white. So you work the first stitch of your increase as per usual. And then in the second stitch, we're going to work our color change. So all we do is insert our hook through the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop of our old color, hold that out of the way, grab a strand of your white, and pinch it on the inside of the piece at the base of the stitch. Then yarn over with it and pull through. And your stitch is going to be a little bit loose. Grab the gray that we've just finished using and give it a little pull. So what that leaves you with is a single crochet in our old color with our new color on our hook ready to go. So in our white, we are going to be working an increase, changing back to our black. So again, we just work the first single crochet as per normal. And then in the second stitch, we're going to change back to the black. And please note, I'm not trimming off either color just yet. We are not done with the white. So now you have 2 white stitches and your black back on your hook ready to go. And in our black, we're going to work an increase. And then a second increase, changing back to our white. Now you may have picked up that there are going to be a lot of color changes for this little ladybird, but she does have spots. So, okay, then in our white again, we're going to work an increase, changing back to our black. Then it is just an increase back to the start of the row. All right, and at this point we can trim off our white just so that we don't get tangled. And that is what we currently look like. Those white spots should line up pretty close to directly behind your eyeballs. Alrighty, heading into row 6, we're going to start with 3 single crochet. Then an increase, which should bring us to our first 2 white stitches. And we're going to work back loop only, a single crochet into each of them. So you've got your front loop facing you and the back loop facing away. So inserting your hook through just the loop facing away, work a single crochet into each of those white stitches. That just serves to give you a nicer color patch. Then going back to working through both loops, we're going to work an increase, 2 single crochet, and an increase, bringing us to our second set of white stitches. And again, we're going to work a single crochet in the back loop only of each of them. So 1 and 2. And going back to working in both loops, we're going to work an increase, and a single crochet, which should leave your row with 18 stitches in it. And I do suggest that you stop and you count at the end of every row for these projects, just because things can get out of hand really quickly. And I'm all good. All right, in row 7, we're going to start building the legs and start building the red shell. So we've got a lot of things going on. So first off, we're going to build the first leg, and we're going to do that by chaining 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then turn and work 3 slip stitches down those chains. 1, 2, and 3. This little piece hasn't added any stitches to our row total, so it's basically like an invisible stitch in terms of that. But what it has done is it's given us a little leggy that's going to poke out between our stitches. We're then going to work 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to work another leg. So again, chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Turn, and then 3 slip stitches up those chains. Say hello. Hello. So those are our 2 little front leggies done. We're then going to work a single crochet, and we're going to change to our red. And we work that color change the same way that we did with the white and the black earlier. Now I will add at this point that if it makes it easier for you to work out where your stitches should go in the next row, you can absolutely use stitch markers to mark the single crochet on either side of the leg. So with our red on our hook, I'm going to work 13 front post single crochet around the top of our shell. And once again, to find our starting point, what you do is you find the first single crochet that you would otherwise work into, and you follow it down to find its post. So it's this one here. Now front post can be used for a number of different structural reasons, and in this case what it's doing is giving us some really nice definition between the different parts of the shell, as well as giving us a really nice crisp line between our black and our red. So this is 13. And in that 13th, we're going to change back to our black. Like so. And we're going to work 1 black front post single crochet, which should fall just before that first leg. So that's what we look like at the end of row 7. And you should still have 18 stitches in your round that we can work into. Okay, row 8, we are going to work in our black, and we're going to work 4 front post single crochet around. So the next one falls on the inside of this leg. And you're going to want to fold this leg forward so it ends up on the outside of the ladybug. Legs do us no good if they're poking inwards. So there's 1, 2, 3, bringing us to the second leg, and again fold it forward so it ends up on the outside of the piece. And in this 4th front post, we're going to change back to our red. Once again, I'm not really trimming my colors off, I'm just kind of like pulling them across the work to where I need them to be. Being careful not to pull those too tightly, because otherwise you'll end up with a pinched ladybird. So there we go, I've changed to my red, and what you can do at this point is just like give the legs a little bit of a tug, just in case any of them have gotten like tucked away inside, but she can now like swing her little, dip her little toes in the water, you know, pat, 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 like a little bongo cat. So now working in our red, we are going to work a single crochet, which goes here. All right, see this little, because we're swapping from front post back to regular single crochet, sometimes it's not always obvious where the next stitch is. So I do suggest you count backwards from your hook until you hit 18. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So this is the 18th stitch. That's where our next single crochet goes. So in our red, we work a single crochet, and then 3 repeats of a single crochet, an increase, and 2 single crochet. So there's our first repeat, and we're going to do that 2 more times across the top of the shell, changing back to our black in the final stitch. So here is our final stitch, and I'm just going to change back to our black. Then to finish the row, we're going to work a single crochet, and we're going to work our 3rd little leg. So chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 3 slip stitches down the leg. Once again, this is not adding any stitches to our actual row count. It's just providing a little piece to stick out and be a leg. So that is what we look like at the end of row 8. And there should be 21 workable single crochet around the edge of your ladybird. Now, these next couple of rows get a little intense just because of all the color changes, and that is because we are building the 3 main spots on the back, as well as establishing a 4th leg. So there's just a lot going on. We're going to start by working 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to build our 4th leg, so chaining 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, turning, and then 3 slip stitches down those chains. Then we're going to work 1 single crochet in our black, changing to our red. So just to help make sure everything's all lined up for you, that black stitch was worked into the last black stitch of the round, and our red will now pick up from the first red stitch. So in our red, I'm so sorry about what's about to happen. So in our red, we're going to work 2 red single crochet, changing back to our black in the second stitch. So 1 and changing back to our black. So then in this next section, we have 2 single crochet in the back loop only, changing back to our red. And 2 changing to our red, so they're in the back loop only. So now with our red on our hook, we're going to work 3 single crochet. 1, 2, and in this third one, change back to our black. 3. Then we're going to work 2 single crochet in the back loop only, changing back to our red. So 1 and 2. Now note that is for the spot that is going on top of the shell, and it should be approximately on top of the shell. It is going to be slightly to one side, but that is just because there is no true top in this particular instance, and it will end up looking close enough. So our red is back on our hook. We're going to work 3 single crochet, 1, 2, changing back to our black in the third stitch. Then we are going to work 2 single crochet in the back loops only, changing back to our red. 2 single crochet in our red, changing back to our black. So 1 and 2. And finally a black single crochet to finish the row. And that last stitch should fall in the stitch just before this little leggy. So that should help keep everything lined up for you. This is what our little legs look like at the moment. And we have the start of 3 little spots. And this is what I look like on the inside. So you can see there where I've just pulled the yarn across as I needed to. By not working over the top of it, I'm not risking it peeking out between the stitches and potentially like muddying up where the spots are. But you should do whatever you're comfortable with. Row 10 starts with 4 single crochet. So we fold the leg forward because once again, we prefer our legs as outies, not innies. And work 1, 2, 3 across between the legs, fold the second leg forward and work a final black single crochet in that final black single crochet, changing to our red. Like so. And I'm getting a little bit tangled up, so we're going to do a little spin to win, and that just means I'm going to grab my yarn and I'm going to let this little lady spin it out. There we go. Instantly detangled. Now we are still building our spots, so we do still need to do a lot of color changes in this row. So we're going to work 2 single crochet in our red, changing to our black. So 1 and 2. Oh, forgot to change. There we go. Bringing us to our first spot, our first 2 little black stitches. And in our black, we're going to work a single crochet into each of them. 1 and changing to our red in the second one. This is good. This is a pattern that helps you stay lined up a little bit. Now my red is on my hook and we're going to work 2 single crochet, changing back to our black. So that's 1 and this is 2. So note that the next stitch is a red stitch and we're going to work a single crochet in the back loop only. Then going back to working in both loops, work 2 single crochet across the top, 1 and 2. And then a single crochet in the back loop only, changing back to our red. 2 single crochet in our red, changing back to our black in the second stitch. 1, 2, 2 single crochet in our black, changing back to our red in the second stitch. And then we have 3 stitches left in the row. 2 of them are red and 1 of them is black. And we're going to work 2 red single crochet, changing back to our black. And then a black single crochet into the final stitch of the round. And you should stop and you should count and just make sure that you're still sitting at 21. So leading into row 11, where we are going to build the final 2 little leggies. Now we are familiar with the legs at this point, so I have included a repeat bracket in the instructions. So we're going to do 2 repeats of a single crochet. Then we're going to build our little leg, which is still just chaining 4, turning and working 3 slip stitches down the chains. And then a single crochet. So there's our first repeat, and we're going to do that again to make the second leg. So single crochet, chain 4, turn and 3 slip stitches down the chains. 1, 2, 3, and then a final single crochet, changing to our red. So we have made all 6 of her dainty little paddlers. And in our red, we are going to work 2 single crochet, 1, 2, bringing us to our first black spot. And we're going to work 2 single crochet in the back loops only, 1 and 2. Then 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet in the back loop only, changing to our black. 2 single crochet, changing to our red in the second stitch. So 1 and 2, a single crochet in the back loop only, 2 single crochet, 1, 2, 2 single crochet in the back loop only, and then 2 single crochet, changing back to our black in the second stitch. And finally 1 single crochet to finish our row. Now at the end of this row, there should now be 1 single crochet between where we currently are and that 5th little leg, the next leg in the row. And once again, I just want to give you a little glimpse on what mine looks like inside from where I've just been pulling my yarn across. It's going to be perfectly fine. Okay, so we are very nearly done with our little lady here. Moving into row 12. We are going to work 4 black single crochet across the legs, changing back to our red in the 4th stitch. So that's 1 before we hit the first leg. Fold the leg forward, 2 single crochet between them, 1 and 2. Fold this other little leg forward, and the single crochet on the outside of that leg also falls into a black single crochet, and we're going to use this one to change back to our red. So, meaning that we will be working red into the first red stitch of the round. And just again, I am mentioning these things not to overcomplicate it, but more to help give you many little warning flags if things are starting to fall out of alignment for you, or if you've gained or lost a stitch. So now with our red on our hook, we are going to work 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to work a decrease. And I do work invisible decreases, which is just picking up the loops of the 2 stitches I'm decreasing over, yarning over and pulling up a loop through both, and then yarning over and pulling through to complete the stitch. You can work standard decreases too, that's fine. This is just a preference thing. Then 2 single crochet, 1 and 2, which brings us back to our little black spot on top. And we're going to work 2 single crochet in the back loop only. So 1, 2, then 2 single crochet, 1, 2, another decrease, and 4 single crochet back to the start of our row, changing back to our black in the 4th stitch. 1, 2, so that's 3 there, and this is 4. In our black, we're going to work 4 single crochet, changing back to our red in the 4th stitch. And we have 2 more spots to build in this row. So get ready for a few more color changes. In our red, we're going to work a single crochet and then a decrease, changing to our black, which is the same as any other color change we've done. It's just on the final yarn over and pull through, you use your new color. In our black, we're going to work 2 single crochet in the back loop only, changing back to our red. In our red, we're going to work 2 single crochet, 1, 2, a decrease, 2 single crochet, changing back to our black. So 1 and 2. Almost forgot to change colors. 2 single crochet in the back loops only, changing back to our red, 1 and 2. Then with our red on our hook, a decrease to finish the row. Now we're all done with using black for the underbelly of our beetle, but we are still using black to finish off these 2 little spots. So we still can't trim it off, but we are getting very close. So in row 14, we're going to work 4 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then a decrease, changing to our black, 2 single crochet, changing back to our red, so 1 and 2. In our red, a decrease, a single crochet, and a decrease, changing back to our black. 2 single crochet, changing back to our red, 1 and 2, and a single crochet to get to the end of the row. And that's it for the black. You can now trim it off, tuck that end away inside, and you might notice that you've got kind of a very long looking bug. I too have a very long looking bug, and that all changes with this next step where we stuff her. So I'm just going to grab a bunch of fluffy stuff, making sure I'm holding my active ring out of the way. I'm just going to fill her with stuffing, and you do want to stuff her quite firmly. Making sure we're getting all the way to the head. I'm curving the stuffing out and around to make sure that we're getting the proper ball shape for the shell. Carapace. Chitinous material. Her armor, her body armor. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Okay, she is very firmly stuffed. And you may notice she is no longer looking super long. She is now looking an appropriate amount of round. She's possibly even slightly overstuffed. I've really stuffed this bug. Now all we have to do is finish closing off this gap at the back. And we're going to do that by working a decrease, a single crochet, a decrease in the back loops only. And even I'm going to use a standard decrease for that because it's way too fiddly otherwise. A single crochet 3 together, which I think is the first time this stitch has been used, this pattern. Well, that means I'm going to pick up the front loops only of the next 3 stitches. I'm going to yarn over and pull up a loop through all 3, and then yarn over and complete my stitch. So that is a single crochet 3 together. There's also the standard way of doing it where you insert your hook into each stitch and pull up a loop through all 3 all 3 separately. That can be easier if you have a very tight tension. Then we have another decrease in the back loops only, and a single crochet to finish our round. Now that should leave us with 7 stitches around, and we are going to finish off. Leave a little bit of a tail, just like about that much is fine. And I'm going to use my hook to pull this tail through the front loops only of each of those 7 stitches around. There we go, and then you can just give it a little pull, like a little drawstring bag. Little pat pat to stop it being pointy, and we're just going to tuck that end away inside. Give each of the little legs a tug, just in case they've gotten a little bit cramped up inside. And I'm just squishing her now to redistribute the stuffing a little bit because we do want her to be a little ball. And I'm going to admit, I'm going to level with you guys, I overstuffed her just a little bit. That's fine, we'll manage. So you can absolutely stop there. That is a perfectly serviceable little 6-spotted ladybird, even if she only has 5 spots. I think this big one in the middle counts as 2 when you do the line down the middle. But we can add a couple of details if you wanted to at this point. So I'm going to use a little bit of white to add some whites to her eyes. Like so. And we can use a little bit of our grey or some black to add a line down the middle of the shell as well. Now I have done that here. I've used black by accident because it's what I had handy. And it's just one long stitch the whole way down the back. I really don't think it's strictly necessary. I think if you were trying to produce a lot of these in a short period of time for whatever reason, that I'd probably just even skip this. What I'm going to do is just find the midpoint here in the shoulders, lock my yarn in place. Then we know we want this line to fall midway through that spot and between these 2 little butt spots and between these 2 little legs. So this is where I'm going to lock it in place as well. That's it, just one long stitch all the way down the back. As the details are optional, I do consider this to be a no-sew pattern. Please let me know if you disagree with that assessment because I'm always interested in other perspectives on that. I feel if you can skip the sewable details, I feel like it counts, that's all. And there is our finished little 6-spotted ladybird, who is day 1 of our 12 days of Crochetmas, which has become known as Bugsmas this year. And there is our finished 6-spotted ladybug. So let's get on to a clue for day number 2. The clue for day 2 is, despite how they look, these bugs are solitary creatures who prefer burrows. And the colours you're going to need are on screen now. They are a bright blue, a dark grey, a black, and white. Do you think you know what it is? Okay, well let me know in the comments down below and I'll see how many people can guess it correctly. Don't forget to share photos to the Complicated Knots Discord, and there is a chance you'll get to see your photos in this section of the video tomorrow. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye! Alrighty, let's get into day 1. And you may notice some familiar faces in the peanut gallery. Look at all those little peanuts. Loving how like bright and Christmassy things are looking in the background. And, oh, the lighting just does keep doing weird things. That is making me very nervous. I hope you like the boxes because like they were just little brown boxes. At the very last minute I decided, you know what, I'm going to freehand some numbers on them and I'm going to give them a little tinsel pom-pom because who doesn't love a little tinsel pom-pom? And I'm really happy with how they turned out, so I hope you are too. I think they're very exciting. Little cardboard boxes, and this is the only one that I did pencil lines for before I just gave up and freehanded the rest. Straight and marker because I'm brave like that. You got to be brave sometimes. I've messed this up already. Now in terms of tool... Okay, so start. Oh no! Just immediately destroyed my set dressing. I'm gonna sneeze. There it is. It looks kind of like, I don't know, kind of like a pony up this way. No, it really doesn't. No, that spot is definitely crooked. I'm not imagining this. That's why I've gained a stitch somewhere. Dang it. It's a cardinal rule at this point not to do that because I know this pattern is correct. So I know if there's a problem, it's not that my pattern is wrong, it's that I'm wrong. I think I can comfortably do this bit again. I had a whole existential crisis about being crooked a second ago and it was fine. And the colours you're going to need for day 2. Oh.